Where is baby Emmanuel?
New developments in the search for missing 7-month-old baby Emmanuel in San Bernardino County. The boy is presumed dead, and his parents have been arrested on suspicion of murder.
On August 14th, 2025, 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro was reported missing from a store parking lot in Cabazon during what the family described as a short errand. His family said the baby was taken during a quick stop. Photos of Emmanuel spread fast on social media. Strangers and neighbors printed flyers, joined searches, and gathered at the edges of parking lots and roads, hoping for any sign of him. Police opened a missing child search, and many hoped for good news. Think for a moment about that fear, a tiny child gone from a simple trip to the store, parents frantic and pleading for help. Within hours, volunteers and multiple agencies were searching fields, roads, and neighborhoods. For many, Emmanuel became the face of every parent's worst worry. But as the search continued, detectives began to see inconsistencies. Surveillance timestamps, witness statements, and physical evidence did not all match the parents' account. Police found timelines that did not line up and evidence that raised hard questions. The case changed. Detectives began to look beyond the idea of a stranger snatching a child in a busy lot. Now there is possibility that Emmanuel had been harmed over time, not taken by a stranger in a single moment. On August 26th to 27th, 2025, Riverside County prosecutors charged Emmanuel's parents, 32-year-old Jake Mitchell Haro and 41-year-old Rebecca Renee Haro, with murder and making a false police report. The district attorney told reporters the office has a strong indication of where Emmanuel's remains may be located.
Yes, we have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are. That investigation is ongoing at this time.
Even though officials had not announced a recovery when the charges were filed. Prosecutors also noted an earlier child abuse case tied to Emmanuel's father that they say is part of what they are examining. How does a missing child search become a homicide investigation so quickly? What did investigators find that made them change course? And what should every parent learn from this? Stay with me to the end of this video to know more about the key evidence and the lessons to take away. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe now. Cabazon is a small town where neighbors often know one another. 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro lived there with his parents. On August 14th, 2025, Emmanuel's mother reported that the baby had been taken from a store parking lot during a short stop. Photos of Emmanuel spread quickly on social media, and volunteers from nearby towns joined local residents to search roads, fields, and parking areas. Candlelight vigils formed and flyers went up along highways as law enforcement coordinated a wide search that stretched into neighboring counties. At first, the mood was tense but hopeful. Families shared tips, home security videos were checked, and police followed leads reported by the public. Detectives later told reporters that some surveillance timestamps and witness accounts did not match the parents' initial story. Because of those inconsistencies, investigators widened their work. They searched the family home, collected phones and a vehicle for review, and sent search teams and cadaver dogs into remote areas as they tried to find more evidence. Sources say the investigation shifted from a missing person search to a suspected homicide as detectives reviewed timelines and physical clues. On August 22nd, law enforcement arrested both parents at their Cabazon residence. A few days later, on August 26th and 27th, the Riverside County District Attorney filed formal charges. Prosecutors charged 32-year-old Jake Mitchell Haro and 41-year-old Rebecca Renee Haro with murder and with filing a false police report. The DA publicly said investigators have a strong indication of where Emmanuel's remains may be located, though officials had not confirmed a recovery when the charges were announced. These are public statements from prosecutors and investigators as the legal process begins. Reporting also includes past events that prosecutors say matter to the current case. In 2023, court records and news accounts show that Jake Haro pleaded guilty in a child cruelty matter tied to injuries to a different infant, a fact the district attorney says it is weighing now. After the August arrests, social service officials removed the couple's other young child from the home and placed that child in protective care while investigators continue their work. Relatives and neighbors have shared different memories about family life. Those statements vary and may be examined in court. For many who joined the early searches and vigils, the change from hope to suspicion has been painful. Community members say they want clear answers, and officials are asking anyone with information to come forward so investigators can follow every lead. The legal process is now underway, and more facts may come out as detectives and prosecutors continue their work. For now, the case remains active and many questions remain open. Local leaders have asked for calm, and church groups and neighbors have offered food and support to those affected while the community waits for answers. On a late morning in mid-August, Emmanuel was with his parents for a short errand at a small grocery store in Cabazon. The family's story, at first, felt simple and urgent. They said the baby was taken from his stroller in the store parking lot while they stepped away for a moment. Neighbors posted his photo. People drove past the lot looking for any sign. Police set up search teams that checked nearby roads, trails, and parking areas. Calls poured in with tips and security footage from local businesses that officers pulled for review. Within days, detectives began to examine camera timestamps and witness notes. Some video clips and accounts pointed to times that did not match the parents' report. Those differences made officers look more closely at other places to find answers. Investigators secured the family's phones and the family vehicle. They searched the home, looking for traces that could confirm or question the story of an abduction. Cadaver dogs were used in targeted searches of fields and remote spots the team identified from a growing timeline of events. Around this point, public messages shifted. What began as pleas for help became a set of detailed questions from law enforcement. Detectives asked more specific questions about where Emmanuel had been in the hours before he was reported missing, who had been with him, and when the family last saw signs he had been well. Neighbors recalled small moments, unusual visiting hours, a sudden phone call, a door left open late one night, that suddenly took on new meaning in investigators' work. The police timeline narrowed the window investigators wanted to check. On August 22nd, officers arrested the parents at their home in Cabazon. The arrest came after detectives said the evidence no longer fit a stranger abduction. Days later, prosecutors filed formal charges accusing both parents of murder and of making a false police report. The district attorney told reporters the office believed the injuries were consistent with ongoing harm and that prosecutors had a strong indication of where Emmanuel's remains might be located, though officials had not publicly confirmed a recovery when charges were announced. Throughout the community, reactions were raw. Some who helped search felt shocked and confused. Others said they were relieved investigators had found leads. Family members gave interviews that offered different memories about the home and the child's care. Those statements were part of what police and prosecutors examined. Detectives also followed digital trails. They reviewed phone records and social media posts to build a minute-by-minute view of the family's movements. Security footage from nearby stores was digitized and compared to timestamps from the parents' calls. Small details mattered. A timestamp that showed a car leaving the lot earlier than reported, a neighbor's note about seeing the infant in the yard at a different hour, or a delivery driver's account that placed vehicle in a spot inconsistent with the claim. Each item led investigators to recheck earlier assumptions and to map out a tighter schedule of events for that week. As the public watched headlines change from a missing child alert to criminal charges, many people asked how the pieces of this case fit together. The evidence that made investigators change course was not all public, but officials said the timeline, physical signals, and past incidents involving the father were central to their decisions. That shift set in motion the legal process that will sort facts from allegations in the months ahead. Detectives checked every minute they could. They reviewed home cameras, nearby store surveillance, phone records, and family vehicle. Officers collected phones and other items from the house to search for messages, calls, and location data that might show where Emmanuel had been in the days before he was reported missing. Investigators asked neighbors and relatives for timelines, fitting small details into a clearer picture. As investigators compared video timestamps and phone logs, some times did not match what the parents first said.
Rebecca Haro says someone kidnapped their baby outside this Big Five in Yucaipa after assaulting Rebecca Haro and knocking her out cold.
I was gonna get the diaper and somebody said hola, and I didn't see nothing since. I woke up right here on the floor and I didn't see Emmanuel.
Small differences mattered. A camera time that seemed earlier than the parents' account, or a neighbor who remembered seeing the baby at a different hour. Detectives said those mismatches led them to reevaluate the abduction claim and to search other places for evidence. Officials said those timeline problems were central to the change in focus. Prosecutors said physical evidence and the pattern of injuries they believe existed pointed to repeated abuse rather than a single sudden event. Those findings helped lead to the arrests of Jake and Rebecca Haro on August 22nd and to murder and false report charges filed days later. Investigators also looked closely at the father's legal history. Court records and news reports show that Jake Haro had been tied to a child cruelty case in 2023. Prosecutors said that history is one of the factors they are considering as they build a case. Defense lawyers often push back against using old incidents in new trials, so that issue is likely to come up as the case moves through court. Digital evidence played a key role. Officers reviewed social media posts, messages, and phone call logs to map who was where and when. Security video from nearby businesses was checked against call logs and timestamps to tighten the timeline. Small signals, like a vehicle seen leaving at a certain minute or a neighbor's note about when they last saw the child, became pieces detectives used to narrow the window investigators wanted to recheck. Many who joined the searches said they were shocked. Others urged patience while officials gathered evidence. Based on what we know so far, who do you think should be held accountable, and how should the justice system weigh a past case when official findings now point to deeper harm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters and helps shape public discussion about child safety. If this story matters to you, hit like and subscribe to get notified as the case progressed and on the court updates next. Prosecutors told reporters they had a strong indication of where Emmanuel's remains might be located. Officials said they had not publicly recovered a body at the time of that announcement, but they described search efforts that focused on specific areas and that used trained teams and dogs to look for evidence. Those public statements were part of the DA's update as charges were filed. This investigation shows how many small facts can change a case. A single timestamp or a message can shift the meaning of events. Now the legal system must test those pieces in court. Detectives continue to follow leads and urge anyone with information to contact law enforcement so investigators can find the full truth. By August 26th and 27th, the Riverside County District Attorney announced murder charges and accused both parents of filing a false police report. Prosecutors told reporters they believe Emmanuel was harmed over time and that they have a strong indication of where his remains may be located. Bail was set at $1 million for each parent, and both remained in custody as the first court dates approached. The couple made a short court appearance soon after the arrests. Media reports show an arraignment set for early September, with September 4th, 2025, named by several outlets as an important date. At arraignment, the judge will read the charges and the defendants can enter pleas. If either pleads not guilty, the case will move into a pretrial phase where lawyers exchange evidence, file motions, and ask the judge to decide what jurors may hear. A likely focus in court will be whether prosecutors can use past conduct to support their claims. Reporting shows that Jake Haro faced a child cruelty case in 2023 tied to injuries to another infant. Prosecutors say that history is relevant. Defense attorneys are expected to argue it would unfairly prejudice jurors. Judges will hear both sides before deciding what evidence is allowed. These decisions can shape how the trial proceeds and how the public understands the case. Family members and neighbors have offered different memories about life in the household, and officials say those accounts are part of the evidence investigators are reviewing. These steps show how criminal investigators and child welfare officials act together when a child's safety is at stake. It is important to remember that charges are allegations. Under the law, every defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. A full legal record will take time to build, and this case could be in the courts for many months or longer as the system sorts facts from claims. Community leaders have asked for careful, fair legal review while officials continue their work. Kindly subscribe and click the notification bell so you can be the first person to get notified for updates about court dates and filings as they are released from official sources. After the arrests, life in Cabazon changed overnight. Neighbors who had joined searches said they felt stunned when police announced murder charges. Candlelight vigils continued, and people left flowers and stuffed toys near the small park where residents first gathered. Local churches and community groups offered meals and support to the family and to volunteers who had spent long days searching. Social service officials said the second child of the couple was placed in a safe setting, while investigators and welfare staff worked to make sure the child's needs were met. That action showed how quickly the system moves when officials believe a child may be at risk. Many residents said they were torn between anger and sadness. Some asked why earlier court decisions in a past child abuse case did not keep the father in prison, a question the district attorney raised publicly while criticizing past leniency. For some, the hardest part has been watching a community hope for a miracle and then confront painful new details. Friends and relatives have spoken to reporters with different memories of life inside the Haro home. Those interviews are part of what investigators review and what courts may consider. At the same time, officials repeated a basic request. Anyone with information, no matter how small, should contact investigators so search teams can follow every lead. If this story moves you, please share it to keep the search public and encourage anyone with tips to speak up. The case is still unfolding, and the legal process will take time. For now, the community is left with grief, many questions, and a hope that the truth will come from careful police work and fair court review. We will keep you updated as new official information becomes publicly available. This case is painful, and it holds 3 clear lessons for parents and communities from what we know so far. First, pay attention to small signs. If you see a child with unexplained injuries or sudden changes in behavior, report it to authorities or child protection services. Early reports can save lives. Second, stay involved. When courts or agencies step in, follow up to make sure protections are carried out. Communities that remain engaged can spot gaps and push for safety. Third, respect the legal process while asking for accountability. Charges are allegations until a court decides. Still, the system should be pushed to act when evidence suggests a child may be at risk. Ask questions, but let the courts evaluate proof. As the weeks pass, the courts will test every piece of evidence. Prosecutors will present what they have, the defense will challenge it, and judges will rule on what a jury can hear. That process is how the truth is examined in public and legal settings. It is slow and often painful for families and communities, but it is central to ensuring fairness. For those who feel moved by Emmanuel's story and want to help, consider supporting local child protection charities, volunteering with family support organizations, or simply checking in on neighbors with young children. Practical help, meals, babysitting, or a listening ear can make a real difference for families in crisis. Because small actions often change outcomes and protect the most vulnerable among us. Thank you for staying with us through this difficult story. What began as a missing child alert in Cabazon has become a case that shook families across the country. A little girl lost her life, and her parents now face the full weight of the law. The grief is heavy, but so is the lesson. Children need watchful eyes, caring voices, and a community that refuses to stay silent when something feels wrong. As this case moves through the courts, we remember that true justice is not only in punishment, but in preventing the next tragedy. Every person can help by noticing, reporting, and standing by children who cannot protect themselves. If you found this video meaningful, please subscribe to stay updated on this case and lessons we share here. And if you have any verified information that could help investigators, contact the Riverside County Sheriff's Office or the DA's tip line. Together, awareness can become action, and action can save lives. I'll see you in the next video. Please stay safe.